You cannot win a nuclear war.
My background, well, I was born on Merseyside, a very working class family. I went to a good school, which opened up the world to me. I decided I wanted to be an actress, came down to London and did lots of interviews, and one of them was for Threads. Well, I remember that people were very radical about what was going on, particularly with the nuclear concerns, and I was certainly one of the people that went on lots of marches, CND marches, which were fantastic. I mean, they were huge, unprecedented marches. I can remember being at Trafalgar Square and seeing just a sea of people, and Hyde Park. I think if you put an infallible weapon into man's fallible hands, there is always a threat that something's going to go wrong. I think when you're young, you're very aware of wanting your life, to embrace it, and you don't want politicians or anybody who's got their finger on the button to change that. So, yeah, I think I felt, even as a young person then, that I could make a difference. And one person multiplies into millions.
In an urban society, everything connects. Each person's needs are fed by the skills of many others.
I was unaware really of the importance of it at the time, but I was asked to go for an interview, which I did, and I was the first person that Mick Jackson saw for the part. And I went looking rather radical, because I thought, oh, it's about nuclear war, you know, and I'm a very radical person. So I kind of went wearing my sort of combat gear, which was very in at the time. And it was really strange, because afterwards, when I'd got the part of Ruth, who turned out to be a very fragile sort of a person, I was surprised. And he said, having been the first one that he saw me for the part, he obviously saw something in me that was, I don't know, vulnerable maybe. So it was the only time I've ever said to a director, I would really like a part in this, regardless of what that part may be, because I knew that the content would be close to my heart, I suppose. It was cloaked to a great extent in secrecy, almost. It was, you knew what it was about, but the script was a close-kept secret, I think. Not many people had seen it, and I think they were worried that it would go the same way as War Games, which was made but never seen. So it was all quite mysterious, really. Every single person that worked on Threads was just brilliant. Mick was very protective of his actors, and particularly of the character I played, Ruth, because I think they bought into Ruth like a lot of people did. They saw her as vulnerable, and the work was hard, and it was cold, and it was difficult. So no, everybody was very kind, even though everybody was in the same boat, I have to say, all working in the same extreme conditions. But there was a camaraderie on the set that was fantastic. I think everybody was aware that they were doing something significant and important, whether it be seen or not. There was a reverence, really, for the subject that we were involved in, and for Barry's script. I mean, I cannot praise him highly enough. Because at first he'd said he wouldn't do Threads, and then he thought about it and thought, well, I'd rather nobody else do it, I'd rather do it myself. As always with Barry, he wrote about ordinary people in extraordinary times, and Ruth, the character, was somebody that everybody went to school with. She was everybody's friend, sister, daughter, and I think Barry, as in Kes, he did the same thing with Billy Casper's character. Everybody knew a Billy Casper, and that's what drew people in. I think Threads didn't keep people at arm's length. It drew people in because of the characters that everybody knew. I mean, we related to them. And that's what I think made Threads so visceral for people. Because, you know, I still have people saying to me, oh, you know, I never slept after seeing Threads, or it was the worst thing I ever saw in my life, I was so terrified. And and you think, okay, it worked. That's good. I think it was his writing that made Threads what it was.
Yeah, it's peace offering. Not much smell to it, though. It's lovely.
They're supposed to bring good luck, innit?
That's what they say.
I think when you work with a script that's so well written that the actor has to do very little. You know, actors have to work much harder when the script isn't so good, because you're trying to make a good script seem better than it is. Whereas when you're working with a writer like Barry, it just speaks for itself. And so Ruth I knew to be a very simple, she wasn't complicated, there was no sort of horrors that had been perpetrated upon her throughout life. She came from an ordinary family. Sadly, she'd found herself pregnant, which wasn't accepted in those times, particularly. And so that was the problem that she had at the time. The nuclear threat and eventually the bomb dropping was something nobody can prepare for. Well, we did have rehearsal time at the BBC, and we did have access to material out of Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which hadn't really been accessed at the time by people in the Western world. So literature that was grim, seriously grim. And I know there were times when I used to come home on the bus after rehearsal and having sort of steeped myself in this research, where I wanted to shout out to everybody on the bus, do you know what this is about? Do you know what could happen to us? You know, it gets into your bones a bit, really, when you're working that closely with things. And also we used to see documentaries of injuries from the Falklands War, and which was very distressing at times. I'm not sure, actually. I think maybe I saw it on the night that it went out. I was amazed. It was very newsworthy, and there were sort of like question times afterwards with various politicians and people. I remember getting letters from the Prime Minister and shadow ministers and things at the time, and being pleasantly surprised, I suppose.
Our purpose now, after both threads and on the 8th day, is to examine political and military ideas that those programs deliberately didn't set out to do, but which are urgently raised by them.
And then it won the Best Drama BAFTA Awards. That was astonishing, because I was just, you know, a young actress making her way through the world, and it was all very new and exciting, I suppose. It made the waves, I think, that they wanted to, which is great. And I think what was really important was that it was the piece and the content of the piece that was important, and not any one person in it. And I think that's why they chose people that were very realistic, very instinctive as actors, and not names as such. And it didn't need that. I mean, the script was so good, and the subject was so vital that it didn't need that. I can remember when I did see it for the first time, the bleak grittiness of the typing on the screen and the sound of the typing on the screen. It was absolutely chilling. I mean, because I can remember doing the scenes that I did, but when you see it all brought together, the impact is great, I think. It was for me, and I was in it.
There's nothing there.
It's hard to watch, and it should be hard to watch, and it should frighten people. And if it's done that, then it's done its job, and good.